Welcome back to PRN Test Drive. I'm James, and this is the 2025 Ram 1500 RHO. Now, for those not in the know, RHO stands for Ram High Output, or RHO, or for those of you that are extremely upset of the fact that, this doesn't have its V8 anymore, you could call it the reduced horsepower option. Now, look, jokes aside, this does not come with a V8, and it does lose a little bit of its showpiece, its pizzazz, its theater. It loses a lot of that just by not having the V8. It also, maybe loses a little bit of speed in it, and it also leaves the Ford F-150 Raptor R completely uncontested in terms of its competition. But this is an amazing competitor to the regular F-150 Raptor. So yes, this RHO is trying to fill some TRX size shoes without its biggest selling point. But look, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna tell you that after spending a week with this thing, maybe having a V8 isn't all it's cracked up to be. I really enjoyed my time with just this inline six. I really have enjoyed what they've done with the RHO. And let's be honest, if the TRX never existed, this would be one of the coolest trucks that Ram has ever done. Also, I don't think that the TRX is fully dead. I expect it to make a comeback one day, but I want it to be known that the RHO still has a place in the Ram lineup, even if the TRX makes concern. I've spent a week with this thing. I have loved my time. I think it's still an awesome truck for what it is and what it can do. Let's just hop in and I'll show you why. All right, so on the road now, Ram RHO. No problem having no V8. Let's see. I'm going to throw this thing into Baja mode, which just basically unleashes the vehicle. It gives me full beam. So let's see what it's got with no V8. Let's see what this inline six can do. Oh, I moved everything back. Oh, it's a fast truck. I mean, whatever you think about it not having a V8, the inline six is not enough power. Sure, they're all fair arguments, but you can't tell me that this truck is not quick. Of course, it doesn't have like the trumpety sound of the Ford F-150 Raptor, but still, you know what? I think long-term, if I was to own this thing, maybe I would do an exhaust tune just so that I could be loud. But honestly, this truck is just cool, and it deserves to be called and spoken about in a cool manner, because that's all it is. It's just it's just made me feel like I can do anything. I can handle any weather, any condition, off-road, on-road. I'm a monster. I'm just a beast, right? So let's talk about what is powering this Ram RHO. I have a 3-liter twin-turbo inline six, giving us 540 horsepower, 521 pound-feet of torque. Now, that's pretty decent. I mean, from a big boy truck with massive off-road tires, 540 horsepower is really good. And I can tell you on the street, it does a really good job of handling. I feel like when you compare it to the TRX was very much a showpiece. And I'm not saying that the RHO is not a showpiece, but the TRX was, from the videos that I've looked at and the research that I've done on it, it was so unbelievably fast and crazy in a straight line, whereas this is more easier to live with, and it doesn't cost so much money. Of course, it is going to cost money because it's an inline six, it's a twin turbo, so it's going to cost gas money, but not as much as just a roaring V8 would. As cool as it sounds, daily life does have its drawbacks with that V8 engine, but still, I'm not saying I don't like the V8 engine. I'm just saying that there is a spot for this truck. There definitely is a spot. I know it's trying to fill the TRX's shoes in terms of performance, and I know it probably falls short doing that, but I just want it to be known that I do seriously think there's a spot for this RHO in Ram's lineup long term. Now, I've also got the 8-speed automatic transmission. I've, of course, got 4-wheel drive. The Bilstein Blackhawk E2 adaptive shock absorber. So there are those big ones in the back that look really, really cool. I love that we can see them. I've also got a tuned air spring suspension system that gives the rear axle up to 14 inches of travel. So that's what makes this RHO really, really good at being an off-road truck. I've also got an 11.8-inch ground clearance, so you can naturally tell that this thing is quite high off the ground. When I'm sitting in it, I can see everyone and everything, and sometimes I can see into other people's vehicles. I'm that big when I cross a small vehicle. I can see what they're doing in there. And another straightaway, so another rip, this time in custom mode. Oh yeah, it's got no problem. It's just fun to do that. And I mean, there's no pumped in audio either. I gotta tell you that. It's all the inline six, which does struggle to penetrate the cabin, but still, I still really like it. I still like the noise, and with a tune, you could fix all of those problems. I think ride quality's been quite good. Now it is a little bit of more of a springy suspension in pretty much any mode I have it in. So street mode is basically its comfort mode. Like that's the mode that you're gonna go in, and that's like the auto mode. Most of the stuff is called street mode. So that's like, you know, even in that mode, I do feel like when I go over speed bumps or I hit a big pothole, I kind of feel like the back of the truck kind of, you know, go up and down. That's gonna be a big plus when you're off-roading. You want that flexibility. You don't necessarily always want it when you're on the street, but still it can rip anyways. Doesn't matter if there's like a 6-foot crater in the ground, this thing will just fly over it, because again, I can do anything with this vehicle, and I just love it. I just think this is such a fun truck to just be in, drive in. I love the looks it gets from other Ram owners, and I just like, it's just cool. There's no other word to describe it. I've said it like 12 times, but that's just what it is. It's awesome. So when it comes to the driving, the speed, and just the overall performance side of the RHO, I really think it's a great competitor to Ford's F-150 Raptor. The jury is out still for me. I haven't driven the F-150 Raptor, so I can't really tell you which one I'd prefer, but I can tell you that the RHO has set the bar high for whenever the chance comes that I do get to drive the F-150 version. Now this truck is expensive, so it does come with our luxury stuff and a good amount of tech actually in here. Some I'll use, some I won't. So let's talk about the interior. So let's start with the steering wheel. I really enjoy how big this steering wheel is. It's very easy to use. The thing that stands out to me the most on the steering wheel is these paddle shifters. They're kind of split, so I can access them whether I have my hands at the top of the wheel or at the bottom, and it also leaves room for the Dodge classic kind of volume controls behind the steering wheel. So I have my media controls behind here, which frees up a ton of space for the controls here. So on the right hand side, I've got my cruise control, adaptive lane assist, stuff like that. Left hand side, I can control the digital gauge cluster, and also I have the option to hang up and stuff like that. Now I do have memory seat settings in here, and I do have some massage seats for the passenger and myself, the driver, which, I mean, I think a lot of the purists of like trucks are gonna be like, oh, it's gone too luxury, it's not worth it. But look, I mean, I think Dodge is going after sales, and then, you know, an expensive truck like this, stuff like that, massage seats, ventilated seats, stuff like that, is gonna sell trucks even more. You know, there's people that have this kind of money, they want the speed, but they also do want a little touch of that luxury, and to do that, you gotta give them both. So Dodge has done a good job, and Ram have done a good job at doing that too. We've got a Harman Kardon sound system. I don't know if I would have went with Harman Kardon for my sound system for a truck in this price point, but it's all right. Digital gauge cluster, which is super nice, but it's got a ton of customization, an overwhelming amount of customization. I mean, I can see literally everything I need to about the vehicle, which is cool because, you know, you can set it up with off-road stuff, but like if you're just using it for street driving, you're probably gonna just set it to the basic one or like one of the more basic ones and just forget it. That's what I've done. But it was cool to see all the other modes should I ever, you know, find myself on a trail and ripping around my RHO. Well, I can see every little bit that I would need to in any situation, which is cool. I also really like how the start-stop button on this truck is red. It makes me feel like, you know, I've got a special truck, it's red, I'm doing something meaningful when I turn the truck on. So that's cool. And I've got the RHO buttons there. So I've got a big RHO button to kind of cycle through my drive mode. So you've got Sport, Tow, Snow, Auto, Custom, Mud and Sand, Rock, and Baja. And you can kind of go through them and see what it changes, and you can mess around with the screen. And then you have two little arrows that you can kind of quickly switch between them. I've got the transfer case button, so I've got four-wheel drive automatic, four-wheel high, four-wheel low, and then I've got the axle lock, and then I've just got this big button that just says launch. So if you're on a racetrack, a drag strip, or an off-rail dirt trail and you just want to mess around with the launch control, you can do that. You've also got performance pages where you can set stuff like that, so you can play around with the launch control and stuff, and you can, you know, set the rev limiter and all that stuff. So this does have a nice little performance little corner that you can go into, and you can dive right into that if you're still into it. Like say you're a TRX enthusiast, maybe you can't get your hands on one, it's too expensive, whatever. It still kind of has that little thing of that built into our infotainment, which I do enjoy. Of course, I got wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, built-in navigation. All the settings here a lot of the settings are controlled via the infotainment. So if this thing dies, it's finished. And I did find the infotainment slightly laggy. I found that on other Uconnect systems, so I'm not sure if it's a Uconnect software system or just the hardware that is running the system. Maybe a hardware boost would be a little bit better, and then the Uconnect system would run. Because the Uconnect system is quite nice looking, quite efficient, I find. I just feel like from a tech head point of view, if you up the specs in the software or in the hardware that's running the software, it'll probably go a little bit better. But yeah, some of you are just simply not gonna like the fact that it's just this huge iPad, because it is a very, very big screen to do stuff on and with. I haven't minded it because it's worked, and you do have some physical buttons for like quick HVAC controls and stuff, so I did like having that, and that's honestly the things I've been using the most. Other than that though, I've got a ton of USB-C and A ports. I've got 3 of them. I've got an HDMI port, which you'll use to use your passenger connected screen, which is interesting. So the passenger has their own screen. Instead of like an extra glove compartment storage thing, it comes with their own screen. They can look at the cameras at all times. They can watch them. Maybe if you're doing off-road, they see something you don't, they can have it pulled up and warn you. They can also send, directions from their navigation on their screen to the driver, so the driver's not distracted. They can ask their passenger to take that part over. It's just something that is cool. You can pair wireless headphones. You can stream Amazon Alexa, Apple TV. You can even probably plug a PS5 in there and play it. Anything with an HDMI cable you can probably use on this thing. It's cool. I just don't know how much long term I would actually use it other than on road trips. And if I don't do them often, then that thing is just going to sit there and be off the entire time. Other than that, we have no more kind of weird dial switch for the RHO. We have a classic gear shifter, which I do tend to appreciate because it does take up more space here. You don't get like the trays here, but I do like a shifter more than a dial. It feels better. Shifter feels more mechanical, and I just like it a lot more. Cup holder standard, 2 wireless charging ports. I've got a ton of storage here, and I've also got this nice little plate with a RHO badge and the RHO badge, which tells me, where it was built, the high output engine, and the horsepower number and stuff like that. And also you've got your VIN number on there, and it's nice and felted too. It's nice. It's very nice material. I do like that. The only thing I'm missing here on this interior spec really is the optional sunroof, which is very nice. I think it would let a lot more light in the cabin. It's something I'd definitely option with this truck if I was going to buy it. And then last but not least, the back seat is got plenty of space in it. I mean, it's a good thing that I could probably lie down on the floor and sleep in there, because with the price of this truck, I might actually need to do something like that. But man, I've got ventilated and heated seats back there. I don't have a climate control, which again, at this price point, would have been nice to see. Kind of sucks we don't have it here in my version or in any version. It just doesn't come with a tri-zone climate control, but dual zone will take it. It's enough because you do have some vents back there, so that's good. Baby seat fits perfectly back there, in case you're wondering. Also, the seats fold up very nicely, so you got a ton of storage options, whether you're going to use the bed, both, or just the back seat. You could fit a lot of stuff in that back seat. It is crazy. So I'd really enjoyed having the extra room in that back seat this week. So overall, interior wise, very good. And yeah, it is kind of getting into that luxury market. But again, I think, Ram, Stellantis, Dodge, whatever you want to call them, they are going after sales. And at a price point like this, kind of good to see some of the luxury stuff creeping in. So now let's take a look at the RHO from the exterior. And I mean, there is no hiding it. This thing is absolutely massive. And it just looks like it's built more for the off-road than the street. But let me tell you, you already saw what it was. It's a beast on the street. It'd probably be a beast on the off-roading, even though I didn't get a chance to take it on the off-road. Because I mean, look, it makes me look tiny, it makes me look small, and that's what I want. If I'm gonna drive or own any pickup truck, I want it to be big and annoying. I mean, it's got the big part covered, maybe not so much the annoying part because we don't have the V8, but still, it's massive. I got 35-inch all-terrain tires, and I mean, these tires are almost the size of my entire leg. I love looking at this thing from the front. I love the daytime running LEDs. I love kind of the amber lights we have where the hood scoop is. I like the Hurricane high output badge and all the vents. You can see the vents are a lot higher now so that it prevents dirt from getting sucked in and potential water from getting sucked in. So again, adds into kind of that off-road build that they were going for. It's a lot of metal and steel on the bottom, and you can just see how much ground clearance we have. It is just an off-roading beast. I've got intelligent door handles, which is nice, power folding mirrors, nice turn signal LED for the front and for the mirrors as well. I've got a vent on the side, the Ram badge, and you can see closer to the back there, we do have the RHO badge. We do not have it on the front. I wish Stellantis or Ram put it on the front because there is an option to do that, but at least we do have a badge that says big and bold RHO. But the only thing I would change about the exterior is the color. Now I've got it in just the black color, but it comes in a white, a really nice gray, and when you do have badging like that, it'll show a lot more. And if I'm driving an RHO, look, I just want people to know, so I want the badges to be very, very visible. Now, one thing is we don't have any automatic step that comes down. We do have a very thin step, so you do have to kind of hop yourself in here. And after a week of driving this thing, I've gotten the hop pretty much down. But for the first timers, you know, I've had a lot of passengers slide in and out of these things. So it is a thing. But look, I love it the way it is. I really am a fan of the look. And just good job, Ram, on it. You know, we might be missing the V8, but they got the design right. So now we're going to take a look at the Ram from the back, because this is a pickup, so the back of the truck is a very important part. So we do have a bunch of trailering connections here, and we do have the spare tire right underneath. You can see we've got these really nice, like, blacked out exhaust tips. I really like them. Again, not a huge sound that comes from them, but a decent one. It's decent for what it is. Look, Ram have done their best, I think, with what they could do, or what the design choice was for 2025. So look, I don't mind it. I really like the taillights, kind of your classic Ram taillights. We do have an RHO badge, a nice and big one, and I believe that one comes standard. You don't have to option it like a sticker on the side of the bed or anything like that. I've got a 360-degree system, so I've got parking cameras, rear, front, side, wherever you want, you name it, you got it. And I believe there's also some options for some auxiliary cameras, so things like the trailer bed, if they've got cameras on them, I'm pretty sure you can hook that up as well. Now, let me show you how this works. So one press right here, and you're going to be able to fold it down. Now, I've got my daughter's wagon in here just for scale. You can kind of see how big it is in there, but very nice. I've got some onboard power there as well, which is going to be extremely convenient if you need to charge things while they're in here, whatever you need. I've got the soft cover. This is an additional charge, additional option, but I do like it, and it's something that I would absolutely need, because I do like my bed not being completely, you know, full of snow in the winter and having to shovel out my truck bed and stuff like that. So this is going to help specifically for the winter. Now I can fold this guy right up here. Automatic opening, closing. That is a very nice feature, because these guys can be heavy sometimes, so that's very good to see. And then last but not least, I have a little kick step right over here that I could put my foot on and just bring it down just like this. And then you can hop up into the bed a little easier, a little bit of ease of access there. But yeah, look, the sound would have been the highlight, but it's all right for what we've got. Look, it's hard to complain about. I like it. I like the truck. What can I say? Overall, it's been a fun week to drive around this thing. The more I've driven it, the less I've felt like it, you know, lacks that much in terms of what the TRX was. I still really appreciate this truck. Sure, I'd love to see a V8 in it, and I think that that's something that Dodge might possibly do in the future. I wouldn't count a TRX return, or like an RHO / Ram / TRX, whatever you want to call it. There might be something in the future that could do it. Possibly they put the RHO with some electrification, giving it a little bit more power, maybe making it a little bit more efficiency while still keeping the same amount of fun. I could see them possibly going that, and honestly, I wouldn't mind at this point. If you're not going to bring back the V8, I'm all for Dodge and Ram figuring out a way to give us more horsepower without, without losing all their sales, because I still want the company to be around. I love the Rams, I love the Chargers, I love what the brand is, and I want to see them go. So they need to sell trucks, and if putting out an RHO with no V8 is going to make that happen, sure. I don't know if that is. I don't have any of the sales numbers, but it just makes sense that they would do it. From a business standpoint, from an enthusiast standpoint, I miss the V8. I absolutely do. And now the Raptor R stands on its own. It has absolutely nothing to compete with, and that is a shame, because competition only benefits the both of us. But like I said, this truck is just fun. The more I drive it, the more I like it. And I think the more you drove it, the more you'd like it as well, because it's just, there's not a lot to dislike other than the fact that it's missing, a big part in the V8. But still, if you can get past that, and if, say, we lived in a world where the TRX never existed, this would be the coolest thing that Ram has ever done. Something to think about. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Make sure you subscribe if you want more videos just like this one, if you want to see more trucks just like this one. With that being said, I'll see you in the next week. See you in the next car. Take care.